Essentially, all that this chart is explaining is that when we are given and blessed with, and I will explain what I mean, an uncomfortable emotion, there's an opportunity within that feeling when we do the things that animals in the wild cannot do, and we take our awareness and we turn it towards that emotion. It's like we're unwrapping the pain, okay, to a gift in the very center. And the gift is always an element of your authenticity. So the gift is always a piece of gold. The gift is something that way long ago, something inside of you decided, hey, for me to have this need, for me to have this part of my truth, this yummy part of my authenticity, is a threat to my survival, usually emotionally. And so this need that I have, this need for love, this need for connection, right? Look at the chart. This need for my deepest desires, this authentic boundary that I have, this freedom that I desire, this self-love that I hold in my heart. When those become a threat between you and your caregivers, you and society, you and the tribe, because human beings are a tribal species, we need other people to survive, something inside of you goes, I'm going to take that part of my authenticity, I'm going to withdraw it from my conscious awareness, and I'm going to bubble wrap it with pain. What is pain? Anger is pain, grief, jealousy, shame, guilt, disgust, loneliness, worry, depression. These are forms of pain that we experience, but they are safeguarding a part of our authenticity. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Of course, if you do follow me already on TikTok, you know that I talk a lot about not this, and I'll tell you the reason why. I talk a lot about body language, talk a lot about dating, talk sometimes about sex. If TikTok doesn't get so mad at me when I talk about that. But it's fun to talk about. And I talk about, what I say, face reading, body language. Oh, and dating. I talk a lot about dating. On my Instagram channel, I talk all about men's mental and emotional health. So if you're a man, you're new to the world of Kate Colley, definitely follow me there. That tons of information on men's dating health, emotional health, mental health, and relational health. But the reason I don't talk about as much in my short form content about things like this chart about emotional health is because those types of content fall flat on their face. Nobody really wants to hear about it until it's in a long form content, and then I make it juicy and interesting and exciting. And it does have a lot to do with body language and face reading. So I'm probably going for today, I have about an hour with you. For today, I'm probably going to be drawing upon some face reading things, drawing upon some body language things, just because I want to make sure that if you do already follow me and you're showing up for my live, that you're also getting kind of what I lead with on my TikTok channel, because body language is a 100%, okay, I'm going to break this down. Body language is a 100%, yes, 100% accurate way of seeing a shift in somebody's nervous system. Now there's two states of the nervous system. There's expansion. That's basically rest and digest and relax, right? We know this. And then there's contraction. Oh, I'm stressed. So body language is a way to see real-time shifts of, yay, thank you for joining my fan club, shifts of somebody's nervous system. When somebody gets a hit, yes, like a drug, because our biochemicals in our human body are like drugs. No one wants to look at it that way, but it's true. When we get a hit of a feel-good biochemical, what does our body language instinctively do? It relaxes. That's when you're gonna see kind of like flirty behaviors, right? We're gonna do this. This is called preening behavior. You're gonna see a head tilt. That person might move the things away from the very vulnerable parts of the body. The eyes are going to open a little bit. The head is going to tilt. I'm going to have a genuine expression on my face where you can see, I don't have Botox, so you can see the happiness lines, okay? Body language is real-time information of a shift of someone's nervous system. And yes, you can use that as a self-reflective tool. I highly recommend it. In fact, if you type in on YouTube, on the YouTube search bar, let me think about this, Kate Colley, body language self-awareness. Sorry, that was long, but you will get a video where I talk about how to use the science of body language as the most accurate self-reflective tool to call yourself on your own bullshit, because we bullshit ourselves all the time, okay? We have a function of our brain that has the ability to lie. And it is this function of our human brain, because animals in the wild don't have this. They have this, dolphins, monkeys, they have some of it, but not like we do. okay? We have an ability to lie, and it is that part of our brain that places meaning on everything. We go, that was good, this is bad, I want more of this, I don't want more of this. This happened because I'm a piece of shit. That's a lie. This happened because I'm a really good person. It's also a lie, right? There's useful meanings and non-useful meanings, but our brain operates in story and belief system all the time. It comes from the part of our brain that lies, and we're placing meaning on it. And I remember how I got into that tangent. I can't even backtrack it. We were talking about body language. Oh, body language is self-awareness. So if you want to watch that video, I highly recommend it, because our body could be experiencing a state of openness or a state of stress, but we might not know it, because the way that our body is designed is we're not designed to be aware of every single little thing that's happening. We're not designed to be aware of choosing with our free will every body language thing that we do. We are designed to be on automatic. And that automatic system in our body is a system, it's like a computer, there's hardwiring, okay? And that hardwiring was created primarily between the ages of 0 and 7. As a general rule of thumb, we can tag on a lot to that. There's generational stuff, shit from 11 generations ago. I think now they say, don't ask me who they are, but they say that it's up to 13 generations. That's the last I've heard. Okay, but we can all know that there's stuff that your great-great-great-grandparents have gone through that has the capacity to be influencing your free will today. Okay, so it's generational stuff. It's between the ages of 0 and 7. Massive traumas like shock traumas, traumas to the physical body, and then complex traumas, which are traumas that affect the sense of self, the emotional sense of self, your identity. Those are traumas too. Those are harder to find, actually. So where are we going with this? Body language is great. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, zero cost way to support me. Thank you very much. I love it. I don't get paid for being on these lives. Like literally, I sometimes make 2 cents. So I am here to love you and support you, because like I always say, I have struggled so much, so acutely much in my life. And I've hit my head against the same thing over and over again. And I have broken it down into a system, and it works really well, and it works every single time. And that's what we're gonna be talking about. So yes, everything that I talk about, the link is in my bio. I don't have obviously every specific YouTube video that I talk about, but if I say something that is on YouTube, if you type it in on the search bar on YouTube, search bar Kate Colley, and you put in whatever I'm talking about, it should come up. And I always say this as well. If you like what I'm saying, if you want more of this, I'm giving you everything I can in this hour we have together, and I show up for these lives twice a week, and I will give you everything I have. There's no gatekeeping. I will give you everything. And then I always will have next steps if you feel inspired, and I will always have free next steps if that's what your budget is. And then I will have paid next steps for courses and ways to really implement this work. I have one course called Rewild Your Release. It is phenomenal. Like, the results I get from it are crazy. Like, they're crazy because they don't make sense. It's because we're using all of this from information, detailed how to use this, and then this chart right here, and then how to release trauma from the body. Obviously, that's a paid option. And then I have one-on-one options. All of that, the link is in my bio. So there's many, many places you could go after this to get more information. So body language. Body language shows real-time information. In real time. Now, face reading, which I also talk about on my TikTok channel, shows things, emotional upsets, issues, stuff that you're against yourself, self-sabotage, self-hate, relational things that have been there a very long time. So long, in fact, that then it marks the face. And it marks the face through these uncomfortable emotions and experiences. Mark the face through a variety of different ways. I have a lot of it on my TikTok channel. And if anyone's a subscriber and you want me to read your face, by the way, that is available to you. That's a paid subscriber here on TikTok. And the only reason for that is because I would be here 24 hours a day, 7 or 8 or 9 days a week. Okay, see what I'm saying? Reading people's faces and answering questions, which I actually love to do and I would love to do. But if you want any of that, join the subscription here on TikTok. I will stop everything and answer your question, read your face, whatever. But face reading shows long time information that marks the face. Okay, so it marks the face in a couple of different ways. I remember where I left off. We have lines and wrinkles. Okay, well, this was on our last TikTok live. We went through a lot of the emotional map of the face, and if you're a subscriber, you get access to that video. But we have these lines, obviously these lines. Actually, these we never went through. These are called skepticism lines. This is in the gallbladder channel. We have this line in the spleen area. These lines are lost love lines. These lines are all about the colon. The colon is like a sword. It cuts out what's no longer needed. So if you're holding on to things, this micro expression is disgust. There's contempt. When we do that over and over again, it creates these lines. When we do this over and over again, it creates lines. Lines that come down here are worry. So there's so much information, but lines don't just appear on your face. They take a long time to get there. But the reason, I know where I was going with this, the reason I talk about and I lead with body language and face reading and dating on my TikTok channel in my short form content is because it's fascinating. Who doesn't want to know that kind of stuff? Like, it's interesting. It's an interesting way for the mind to become curious and to lean in, to want to know more, right? And what these systems, body language and face reading, show you is subconscious patterns. What is the subconscious? The subconscious is what is beneath your conscious awareness. Your conscious awareness is what you are aware of. Okay? It's the thoughts you're aware of. It's the things you are aware of. And like my teacher says, the conscious mind, about 5% of you, is the least to know and the last informed. It's not that it's the stupidest part of you, okay? Because I don't want to call any part of us stupid. And it's actually not that it's stupid. It's of high human intelligence. However, it's a telescope. It's a tunnel vision. It looks at one thing. Sorry, that was like very provocative of me. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, but moving on. The bigger picture, right? Outside of the conscious mind, the subconscious is very intuitive, and not intuitive in a spiritual woo-woo way, but it can see the bigger picture. It has more availability of information. And then you have the unconscious below the subconscious, and that's your reptile brain, okay? The reptile brain, it's your amygdala, it's the same structure in reptiles, and their purpose is very simple on this planet, as far as I know. I'm not a reptile, but it's very much more linear. It's more physical. It's more biological. So this part of us that is a reptile at the very base of us is the first to respond. Like when you touch a hot stove and you pull off before you even have an emotional reaction and before you have a thought about it. That's kind of like your reptile brain. But the reptile brain is always sorting for three things. Can I eat it? Can I fuck it? Procreation. Or can I run from it? Should I run from it? I need to procreate. This is the reptile brain. This is why sex sells. That responds immediately. Then it shoots up information into the subconscious. Okay, subconscious. The subconscious is our mammal part of our brain. This is where the emotions exist. And this is where I like to do a lot of my work, because if you're just thinking, if you're just talking about your problems and wishing they would get better, or even just doing positive affirmations, if you are only focused on the 5% cognitive part of you, the conscious mind, you will not make a change in your life. You have to go into the subconscious, okay? The subconscious is where the emotions are. Why? Because emotions, this chart, these emotions are felt in the body. Emotions don't exist in the mind. We label emotions from the mind, but emotion, that's made up. Humans made up a language, and we call the feeling that we have when we are sad, we call that sadness. But sadness is the concept of something else. Sadness is the concept of a feeling in the body. So anytime you have an emotion, you can quite literally take your hand and place it over the part of your body where you feel it. Sadness is a really easy one. Easy in this way, not easy to process, because all emotions can be difficult to sit with, but not only when you don't have this structure. Though when I give you the structure, you're gonna be like, oh, emotions are really easy to process. But sadness is easy to kind of like wrap your head around, because you're like, oh yeah, I've been sad before and I feel an achiness in my chest, right? Like I've been heartbroken before. I know that I feel it here. Emotions exist in the body, okay? In the body. The body is very much a similar way of saying your subconscious, because your subconscious doesn't have language, I was going to say English, but whatever language you speak, the subconscious does not speak in words. That's why when you say positive affirmations, I am abundant. Let's break that down. I am abundant. Fill in whatever affirmation you really, really desire, because desire, authentic desire, always fuels consciousness, but it does so because it activates two different parts of you. Desire activates the part of you that really wants that. When you want something, it is meant for you. There's no time in this reality. Time is a filter of the conscious mind. When you want something, you already have it. I know it's confusing. And the reason you can't perceive with your five senses that you have that thing that you want is because there are blocks in the subconscious. And those blocks have pain surrounding them. They have shame. They have anger. They have loneliness. They have worry. They have fear. They have all of this pain surrounding it. And so it can't manifest. It can't show up in your life because we're always manifesting from two different parts. So when you have a desire, especially when it's an authentic desire, that's important. When you have an authentic desire, it is given to you, but what's also given to you? The pain that you hold relative to that desire. So desire fuels consciousness because it activates two parts of you that don't know each other yet. They're like on two different frequencies. They're like lopsided. This is chaos. This is why we produce chaos in our life, because there's space between us and us, essentially. Same thing for interpersonal relationships. When there's space between me and someone I love, space meaning anger, shit swept under the rug, that's when a lack of intimacy occurs, okay? Intimacy just meaning closeness. However, in a romantic partnership, yes, I am referring to actual sex, physical intimacy. When there is space, shit swept under the rug that you don't want to look at because you don't know this chart yet, all of a sudden, now there's space. You guys are on two different pages. You don't want to have sex with someone when there's stuff under the rug, because that would mean that coming together in the most intimate way possible, that stuff gets surfaced, whether you realize it or not. This is all subconscious. All right, let me backtrack. I tangent a lot, if you haven't noticed. Hopefully they're good tangents. If you have particular questions, thank you for joining my fan club. If you have particular questions about what I'm saying, thank you so much for the gift as well. Or particular questions about your life. If you're like, hey, I get what you're saying, but, or hey, this is my unique situation, join the subscription here on TikTok, and then I prioritize those questions only because I can't answer everyone's questions. Otherwise, I would be here all day, which I would love to do. Okay, so subconscious, so the space. When we have a desire, it activates these two parts of us. In order to claim that desire in real time, meaning here and now, we must close that space. How do we close that space? We turn our attention, we can do this. Animals in the wild cannot do this. They don't have this capacity, but we can. We're human, okay? We turn our attention toward the pain. We turn our attention toward the blocks. How do we know that there's a block there? When there's pain in the body. And I'm talking about emotional pain. So many people, if not just about everyone I meet until I teach them this process, relate to their negative emotions as if something is wrong. Oh, I'm angry? No, I shouldn't be angry. Oh, I just need to breathe through it. Why am I so triggered right now? I shouldn't be triggered. I must be doing something wrong, and let me run away from my pain. I was just talking to a client who's a doctor, and he specializes in wound healing. He's developed this whole system for wound healing in emergency settings. One of the metaphors, and I was just telling him this, one of the metaphors I always use for emotional pain is the same thing as physical pain. If you were to have a giant gash on your leg and it was bleeding, okay, and it were to all of a sudden be bleeding, you would notice it. Why do you notice it? Because there's pain. The pain coming from your leg is your nervous system talking to your conscious mind, being like, hey, for this tunnel vision conscious part of you, I need you to take that tunnel vision and look at this wound. You're bleeding. You need to take care of this. You need to clean it. You need to wash it. You need to bandage it. Potentially, you need to go to a doctor. Potentially, you need stitches. And that's a very functional system we have. There's pain. Let me bring my awareness to the pain. Let me look at it. Let me take care of it. Anyways, this doctor was telling me, he was like, yeah, that metaphor totally makes sense, because in my wound healing clinic practice that he's developed, he's like, you would be shocked how many people ignore their pain for so long and they think I'm not going to do anything with it. In fact, he was telling me a story that somebody went to the ER because a month prior he had a wound in his foot, on the bottom of his foot. He didn't want to deal with it. And so we have some amount of free will to take this telescope, and if there's enough fear of looking at that wound on his foot, he's going to take his telescope, he's going to put it elsewhere and hope that that wound goes away. Well, the body heals, of course. When the body is taken care of, when the telescope is focused on the wound will heal. The skin repairs. We're not in control of this. The body knows how to heal itself. But it requires a connection between consciousness, subconscious, and unconscious. Everything has to be on the same page, moving in the same direction, and then healing occurs effortlessly. But what this man did is a little bit gross. He ignored it for a month. In fact, he put a sock on his foot for 1 month and never once took the sock off for 1 month. So when they took off the sock, what'd they find? I won't even give you details, but it was a mess and there were maggots. Okay, that's what happens. Same with our emotional health. That wound got so painful for that man where he was like, okay, a month in, I'm gonna do something about this. The pain hits a threshold. Human beings are very, very simple. Sometimes, but they're very simple in this way. Human beings are very simple because we are in an animal body, meaning our bodies are animals. Okay, animals always move toward pleasure and away from pain instinctively. We only make decisions because we want more of a good feeling or less of a bad feeling. We're very, very motivated by this. Very motivated. And in fact, we are severely more motivated by pain than pleasure. I have to talk about they again because I don't know who they are. They say 7 times more motivated by pain than pleasure. For this man, the only reason he went to go get help for his wound was because his pain threshold, let's say he had fear about going to the hospital and his fear threshold was here. Well, the wound first happened, pain went to here. He ignored it, pain kept rising, and now it's getting infected, pain kept rising. This is human being nature. I'm going to tell you this right now. When his pain is above his fear, then he takes action. It wasn't like all of a sudden he had an inspired idea. No, this is all clinical in the body. This is all peptides and hormones and electrical signals flying through your little nervous system, which is like a tree of all kinds of information and binding to different drugs. Okay, drugs are hormones, sort of. Meaning like a drug is something that we take that alters our consciousness. Well, when our body produces a drug and it binds to receptor sites, it alters our consciousness. This is why we don't have free will in a general sense, okay? I know free will is like a tricky topic, so I'm not going to open that Pandora's box. But all I'm saying is our awareness is this. We're not aware of all these things that are happening. So back to the wound guy. So the guy gets his leg taken care of. And this doctor on my call today, he was telling me, he's like, sometimes, it's like you'd be shocked, but sometimes people ignore their pain so much to the point that we have to sever the limb. They have to cut off the limb because of those wounds. Obviously, there's other reasons that people may need to have wounds eliminated that are not like because they've been ignoring their pain. And I know that there's a broad spectrum to this. But sometimes people ignore that so much, and the body always seeks wholeness. The body actually seeks healing. Oh, the body is nature. Okay, our body is nature. Like when you look out at nature and you see a tree and the mountains, and let's call it several trees and animals, and there's an ecosystem. Nature's not like in this chaotic mess of nature being like something's wrong. Let me stop this nutrient from going there. It all flows. It's all in divine perfection. Your body is a part of nature and your body exists in divine perfection. It will always return to homeostasis given the right circumstances. But because, I'm going to go back to a concept we were just talking about, because we have a part of our brain that lies and places meaning on everything, we also have the ability to click out of nature. Nature is the body, but we can click out of it and we can live into alternate realities and stories that our mind has created. When we do that, we call that a mask. We call that a persona. We call that a personality. The body is existing here in the frequency of truth, even when that truth is unsavory, but we have protector personas to hide from this pain because we were never taught the tools of what to do with the pain, but the pain still exists in the body. I work at an addiction treatment center, and I always tell them, I work there 1 day a week, and I say, if you take nothing else from me, well, I actually always say this, and it's always something different, I have to be honest. But there's an important one. If you take nothing else from me, from everything that I've told you, the root cause of addiction, the only way that addiction can occur is when there is space between the body is dysregulated, and the mind disassociates either into more thought or fully disassociates. And it's this space between body and mind that's the breeding ground for addiction. So what does that mean for us? It means we have to close that gap. Now, closing that gap is very painful. Why? Because the only reason that you left the body in the first place was because of pain. So going back in means there's going to be pain. But it's okay, because we know, like with a wound, pain's not bad. Pain is just like, hey, I want your attention. Bring your awareness to me. So when you look at this chart and you start understanding anger has a purpose, grief, so on, shame, all of these are wonderful emotions. They do not need to be ignored. They're simply there because they want the telescope of your awareness to turn towards the pain. And when you look at the pain in the process that I have, again, I have a YouTube video explaining the 4 steps, which I may or may not get into today, but that YouTube video is on my link in bio on TikTok, or if I post this anywhere else, there will be a link in bio somewhere where you can click on. It's the YouTube video that says the 4 steps to heal any emotional trigger, something to that degree. That will give you the 4 steps to uncover the hidden meaning inside of all of these. But for now, just know, when you experience the discomfort of emotional pain in the body, it's because, like on the other side, there's a lot of really cool stuff that your body is trying to tell you. Your body's trying to be like, hey, if you're angry, there's a reason for it. Now, one of the most important, and that reason is boundaries, by the way, every single time. The body will only produce anger when it sees something that it wants, but it perceives a threat in the way. And so because it's still in a vibrational state of somewhat empowerment, it will do everything it can to push that threat away. Now in 2025, or whenever you're listening to this, if I repost this anywhere else, we don't have physical threats chasing us. We don't have tigers chasing us. That's the purpose of anger. Let me push away the threat. We have emotional threats. We have threats to the sense of self. And so when we push away something that's an emotional threat, we are actually pushing away our own boundary by offloading that boundary to somebody else. We are agreeing and consenting that this person has control over my inner world. What to do with anger instead is you actually hold it in your body, hold it, not repress it, not take action on it right away. You don't want to take action right away from anger unless it's a survival situation. Because if you do, you hurt people or yourself, and that's not the outcome you want. But you hold that anger and you get to know it, and you isolate out, you pull out the gold, you pull out the authentic boundary, and then the anger naturally falls away. This is why there's no willpower. Okay, willpower is a finite resource anyway. Don't rely on it. Some people have more willpower than others, and I will tell you who with face reading right now. We're going to tangent here. Willpower is a very masculine trait. And so you want to look for masculine structure. So if you're somebody that has, let me turn to the side, a brow bone, okay, this is the brow bone. A protruding brow bone means more aggression. They have more access to their anger. They have higher levels of testosterone. Someone with a very refined jawline and a very strong chin, these people, and potentially strong cheekbones, these people have more willpower. Someone with a soft feminine face, no brow bone, and a flat forehead, they're not going to have a lot of access to willpower. But either way, whether you have access neurologically to willpower or not, and there's varying degrees, no matter what, it's still a finite resource. That means when the fuel tank is out, it's out. So it's not reliable. Okay, I don't remember why I went on that tangent, but I did want to say this, that the feeling in the body is very useful because it is wrapped around this information, this golden information. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when doing this work is that they forget the step of untangling the mind, the thoughts from the feelings in the body. Because the feeling in the body is like we've talked about. It is just a feeling. It's like when I feel sad, I can label it as sad. That's from my mind. But the feeling just exists right here. It feels a little achy. It feels maybe like watery. It feels like a sinking feeling. Or if I feel shame, generally, not always, but generally people feel shame down here, right? And it feels like, oh, it feels like something bubbling or something gross or something that you want to get away from, right? So we have different feelings in the body. Now, what the mind does is it starts to place a meaning on that feeling. So if I'm feeling shame, the mind will pull out a filing cabinet of the things that have happened to you in your past, primarily between the ages of 0 and 7, and the exact meaning that you placed on it at that time that kept you safe and in alignment with the tribe, aka most commonly, what do I need to believe about myself in order to maintain connection with my parents or caregivers? It's generally what it is. It doesn't matter if that meaning is good or bad or right or wrong. It was useful when you were 2, and so you will keep repeating it until you choose otherwise. So if you feel that shame, that is real and true. Why? Because there's an actual feeling in your body. If you were to like unzipper my nervous system and you were to look at the not my pants, but if you were to look at like my nervous system, you could see, oh right, this human being nervous system is having the electrical signals of pain. There's a receptor site. Here's the hormone that signals shame, right? Or shame, I think I said pain. The shame is real and true simply because here and now, in this moment, the body is experiencing shame. We could all look at that from a clinical perspective and be like, yeah. Now the mind, because it has the ability to lie, needs to put a meaning on it, needs to make sense of this. So again, it pulls out something from the past and it goes, oh, I know, when I was 2, like this is what your subconscious does, kind of. When I was 2, I had to believe that I was a bad person because my parents were treating me as if I was a bad person and as if I was the problem. And in order for me to agree with them, in order to continue to receive provision and protection and shelter from them, I must also align to this belief system that I am a bad person. And so I'm going to hardwire in that meaning into my sense of self. This is complex trauma. And I'm going to become that bad person. So then every time we feel shame, there's a fraction of a second difference between when the shame happens and then the thought happens. And the thought goes, I'm a bad person. I'm a shitty person. I never do anything right. I'm no good. I shouldn't be loved. No, I'm not lovable. Okay. These two things are very connected. And then we know, or maybe we don't know, but it can reverse itself too. Usually the feeling happens first and then the thought starts to spiral. But the thought can also trigger the feeling. So if you have repetitive thoughts, then you're having repetitive feelings. If you're having repetitive feelings, those thoughts are going to intensify and it spirals into an identity, which is why when you're making any kind of a change in your life, I don't care what kind of change you want to make, that's up to you and your creative function. You can make any change though. Any change you want to make in your life, you must become a different person. Not an inauthentic person. You're not bulldozing yourself to become somebody that's inauthentic to you. You're actually becoming a different person in the format of you're becoming more authentic than you ever have before. Because this version of you that goes, I'm a bad person, but you really want to meet your soulmate, but you believe you are unlovable because this is the mask persona that has kept you safe for your entire life, especially in childhood, and you hold on to it. You don't know you're doing this. This is what people do. They hold on to this. The version of you who is receiving love in the juiciest, most intimate, yummiest, like loveliest way, where every part of you is like loved and respected, and your body is adored, and they do things for you and it's reciprocated and it's like co-creation to the max. Whatever you want. You can want whatever you want. That is a different version of you. The belief systems in this old version of you where I am bad and I am lovable, belief systems and feelings change your perceptual filters. Perceptual filters are your 5 senses, okay? So you imagine that your 5 senses are like this dark web, right? It's like you're taking in information, just information, through your eyes, and then you're interpreting it. You interpret it because of this filter that it goes through. This version of you that I am unlovable and I'm no good has a very dark web, we could call it, just to give you a visual, has a very, very like dark web of weaving all these things. And so the only information that is allowed to pass through it can only transcend to prove this mask to be true, to prove this persona to be true. This version of you that is in your soulmate relationship that is experiencing love in the way you genuinely want to be experiencing love in all the ways you've ever wanted is an entirely different version of you. The perceptual filters are open. You've healed those old perceptual filters. Now you heal the perceptual filters by doing this process, which is really just called shadow work. Sorry, it's like so hot. I forgot to turn on the air because I hate turning on the air. I don't like rooms that are like really largely air conditioned. I feel like it's stuffy, but it's also like, I don't know, it's like 100 degrees here in Southern California right now, so I'm a little hot. And I just realized that. Okay, I'm gonna put up my hair. So it's a different version of you, okay? The version of you, the old version of you, this mask persona, this old version of you, in some ways, if we were to apply a metaphor to it, a powerful metaphor, must die, okay? It's not that we don't love him, but he must die. We must absorb his goodness, the gold in the middle, like we were talking about, and then you become someone new. But the version of you that you become is far more authentic than you've ever been before because it's encompassing of who you truly are. It's encompassing of your authentic boundaries. It's encompassing of your authentic needs, your desires. It's a more well-defined sense of you that can hold to the vision that you want for your life. I'm going to talk a little bit more, then I do have to go because I have like I have 1,000 one-on-one clients today. That is not true, but I have very many. And I have a couple more, and so I have to go prepare for that. Usually I'm on here about an hour and a half. Today's just going to be a little bit shorter. Let me kind of like wrap this up by giving you an overview of the process of what to do, what this looks like in real-time application, because I know that was like a lot of information. And I want to make it like real for you. So let me give you the breakdown of the process of like actually what to do. The first step that you want to do when doing this emotional alchemy work is that when a trigger happens, it does not matter what the trigger is. It doesn't matter if it's something external, someone did something to you, you had a thought and all of a sudden you got triggered. Your first step, every one of these 4 steps is absolutely necessary and absolutely important. Okay. The first step is you got to choose it. You got to know, because you have access to this chart, like even take a screenshot of this chart so that you can remember it, so that you can really, really, really start creating those patterns inside of you of like, oh, I just got triggered into anxiety. Yes. Like that's the response. Yes. Great. Fantastic. Why is this fantastic that I just got triggered into anxiety? Because we know that the anxiety, the discomfort is the bubble wrap and there is gold in the middle. The only way you can access the gold of your authenticity, become the literal sexiest, motherfucking most magnetic version of you that has the things that you really want, that new identity version of you, the only chance you have of accessing that version of you is when you are also accessing the pain, because the pain is holding it. So when a painful thing happens, I know it's uncomfy. Trust me, I've been there too. And I know it. And I've lived it. But the first response is to be like, oh, wow, there's gold in the middle of this. You choose it. It's bigger than acceptance. This is not like, okay, I guess I'll try to accept it. If you're trying to accept something, you are not accepting it. Accepting it is putting this frame on it of knowing without a shadow of a doubt, with 100% certainty, with everything you've got, knowing this is good. This is so good. I am being blessed right now. And I keep sharing the story, but I've done a lot of trauma release in my life. And like 8 years ago, I went through a 2-year period where I was shaking and convulsing of releasing trauma from my body, like so much. And it was because I was so triggered by my external environment. And if you want more information on that, either go to the link in my bio, click on the tab that says Rewild Your Release. It explains the process, but there's a video of me shaking on there. Or go to the YouTube search bar, Kate Colley, and then type in trauma release, Kate Colley trauma release. And there's like a 40-minute video of me shaking, because it's a very particular mammal function that we have that knows how to release trauma on demand. You do not need to remember what you are releasing. No memory involved. No, I know people love EMDR and people have experienced so much good from it, but you don't have to access all that. You don't have to go through a clinical process, nothing. It literally exists in your body. I teach it to you in Rewild Your Release. Anyways, I went through such a long period of time of so much trauma release, like shaking and sweating and crying and temperature changes and like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm not gonna give you the details today because I gotta go. But a lot of trauma release. And then after that, it was like maybe once a month I would experience it. And then I'd go through little bursts of it. I haven't had like a good trauma release in so long. Not that there's not darkness or whatever. Everyone has some amount of darkness, right? Not that the trauma doesn't exist still inside of me, because there's still little pockets of it, but I can't access it unless it's triggered. And it was just recently, about a month ago, that something happened and it triggered my deepest trauma. And because I have been doing this work for so long, like you know when you have a trauma trigger and like you disassociate from your body, and it's like that weird chaotic feeling where like your breath doesn't feel like it's in your body and your thoughts are spinning in a way that's unconnected from your body, and you're like looking down at yourself, like that level of trauma trigger. So I'm in this trauma trigger. It had just happened. I felt like I couldn't really breathe correctly. And I literally think I spoke out loud. And I'm not a religious person, so take this in whatever way you want. But I literally was like, oh, God must love me today. Oh my God, I am being loved today. That was my first response. Why? Because step number today, that was my first response. Why? Because step number one in this method is choose it. If I am being blessed and triggered into my trauma, therefore I know that my subconscious or something bigger than me has determined, Kate Colley today is ready to go even deeper into her truth. And that's the only way, because the pain is safeguarding my truth. And so I did my process. I actually had a long trauma release session between me on my carpet, and it was fantastic. And then the next day, the blessings started coming through. I started seeing, wow, I'm a different person, because there was like a death and a rebirth. So I was saying we are. So the first step is choose that. I hope that made sense. That was like a very big example, but you use that choose it of like, wow, I'm angry. I'm not going to get angry at somebody else. I'm not going to repress my anger. I'm going to hold my anger, and I love it. I'm going to bring it closer to me. You choose it. The second step is you have to detach the mental story from the feeling in the body. This step is very important because you don't want to be taking with you those old belief systems into this new version of you. You gotta detach them. Okay? Simplest way to do this. Take your hand. Where do I feel it? That's it. Take your hand, touch it on your body where you feel it. I feel angry. Where do you feel it? Here. It's actually, and telling you this, people get tripped up. It does not matter. You can make it up. It doesn't matter where you feel it. First impression. Always first impression, because your subconscious will always answer first, and it always feels like you're making it up. So if you feel like you're making it up, that's even better. When you take your hand and you place it to where you feel it, all of a sudden, now you're more in your body. Then you want to describe it. What does this feel like? What does this sound like? Is it moving or still? Does it have a certain color? If I were to describe it using my five senses, what would that be like? Okay, this is all to take the story out of it. You don't want to bring the story with you. You'll remember the story, but you'll reassociate differently to it at the end of this 4-step process. Where are we at? 3? The third step. Once you've gotten into the body, the third step is to find the gold. Okay, if you want to write this down, you can. The gold is always one of 3 things. The pain is the bubble wrap. The gold is one of 3 things. The gold is a repressed truth or a desire, an unmet need, or an authentic boundary. So essentially what you're doing is you're having a conversation out louder in your mind, in the imaginal realm, because imagination is subconscious, with that feeling, with that trigger. So you choose the trigger. Yes, this just happened for me. I am being very loved today. Get your awareness into your body. You're going straight for the wound. You're not looking anywhere else. You are tunnel visioning on the wound. Now you're looking at the wound and you're like, what does this wound need? Does this wound have a boundary? Does this wound need to be clean? Does this wound need love? What does this wound want? Who is this part of me? You're getting to know, you're having intimacy or closing the space. Intimacy with that part of you. You're extracting the gold. I'll say it one more time. The gold is either repressed truth or desire, an unmet need, or a boundary. Once you've extracted the gold, there will be a felt sense shift in your body, meaning you'll feel different. You'll be like, oh, wow. Oh, I feel different. Or, oh my gosh, I had no idea I needed that. Or you'll feel empowered. You'll feel expansive. This is where body language comes back in. Your body will shift. It's not going to be, wow, it's not going to be like explosive. Might be. I've had that happen before where it's like it hits me and I'm literally like laughing or something. It becomes funny. Like it literally becomes funny. It's not every time, but sometimes it really does, where it's like I start in pain. 5 minutes later, I'm like laughing because I'm like, oh, because I have this innocent need that never got met in childhood. Oh, of course I deserve to get this need met. Great. Now I can set the boundary with this person because they're not available to meet this need. Fantastic. Great. It's like becomes simple. You extract the gold. Step number 4, and this step is very, very important because what we're doing is we are accessing different parts of you, meaning different parts of your neural network are being accessed. When you find the gold, it's all of a sudden, it's like, wow, you just found a new pathway out on a hiking trail and you've mapped it out. Maybe you've taken a knife and you've kind of carved it out and it's like this barely halfway pathway. It's a halfway pathway. It's halfway made. Not totally set into stone yet, but you really like that pathway. You're like, this is the best hiking pathway I have ever been on, and I want to go on it all the time. In fact, I want to go on it so many times that it becomes worn so that all the other people in the vicinity can also go on that pathway, and it becomes this beautiful thing that everyone gets to experience. Okay, that was a long metaphor to explain. When you find the gold, it's a halfway pathway. You need to solidify it so that all the people in the vicinity, aka all the parts of you, so that when you're angry and you're that part of you, oh, you're still going on that pathway. When you're in grief and you're that part of you, you're still going on that pathway. When you're happy, when you're triggered, when you're around a hot woman, when you're around a good looking man, when you're around a person with money, when shit hits the fan, when shit doesn't hit the fan, all parts of you, these are all parts of you, are like, yeah, I'm still going on that pathway. You want that shit to be well paved. The way to well pave that pathway, make it a solidified automatic program. This is automation, okay? Where it's like funnel hacking. It's like online funnels. If you're an entrepreneur in the online space, we know about funnels. You're setting it up ahead of time. This is the step. The way to put the pavement on that pathway is step number 4, which is take action on the gold, never the trigger. Never, ever, ever. If you take action on the trigger, meaning I just got triggered into an uncomfortable emotional state, and then you impulsively take action, you are telling your subconscious, yeah, I like this trigger. I like this bubble wrap. I'm going to keep ignoring my gold, my authenticity, and I'm going to imprint more of that trigger. Never take action on the trigger. It's hard to do. I don't get that right every time. I don't know anyone that does. But just throwing it out there. As much as you can, do not take action on the trigger. Restrict yourself. But it's different than repressing. We are not repressing anything. We're just saying, I'm even trying to remove willpower at it because I don't want you to be like, I got to hold this trigger. That's why the first step is choose it, because you're like, yes. When you end with that yes of choosing it, retrains your nervous system to not be in fight or flight mode relative to that trigger. And then when you're not in fight or flight mode, you can go through this process and it's a lot easier. You're not fighting yourself. You're not trying to regulate, right? But I digress. Take action on the gold. Do not take action on the trigger. What does that mean when you say take action on the gold? When you get to that gold, repressed truth or desire, unmet need, or an authentic boundary, take that gold and do something different in your life immediately. The quicker you do it, the better. The larger of a decision you make, the better. However, right? We talked about this is a cycle of death and rebirth. This is how all new life gets formed. When we think about a woman's uterus, it is giving birth. What happens to the uterus? It's a painful process. I have 2 kids, trust me, of expansion and contraction. I had 2 home births, no medication. So if you know, you know, right? And even if you had whatever type of birth is a thing. It's like a thing that's like hard in the ways that you can't predict. But the uterus expands and contracts. Why? Because new life is coming through. So when you are becoming this version of you that has your soulmate, that is lovable, like every part of you is loved and cherished, and you're in this amazing relationship, that version of you is new. The old one must die. You must extract the gold. But the process of birthing new identity, there is pain. So I will leave you with this. When you take action on the gold, step number 4, the bigger you do the action step, usually, the more destruction it causes in your life. And that's usually why people don't initially want to take action on the gold. Destruction is not bad though. You're becoming a new version of you. So this old version of you, I'm unlovable, has created an entire reality attached and corded to these constrictive belief systems. Cords to physical things, cords to people, cords to relationships, cords to careers, cords to physical things, right? Fill in the blanks of your whole life. When you expand and you're like, hey, I'm this version of me now, and you take action on this new version of you, some of these cords have to fall off. You can't stay corded to your whole life or to your old life. And when those cords fall off, that can be a thing. Like, that can be painful. There can be a grieving cycle with that. But even the emotional experience of those cords falling off, you return to this process, this 4-step process, and you use this chart. If the cords fall off and it causes you grief, fantastic, wonderful, choose it. What is grief? Grief is medicine, okay? We're not getting into the specifics of all of this, but grief is medicine because grief is expanding your heart into the capacity of love that you never knew you had. And that's just one example. All of these are wonderful. Shame into uniqueness. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, if you experience shame later today, like, this is your opportunity to become everything you've wanted. That's the ticket to confidence, okay? So I may post this live because it was shorter than my other ones in a public space to YouTube, so you can follow me, zero cost way to support me. I don't make money for these lives, but you can follow me on YouTube, Kate Colley. All of the information is in my bio. Thank you guys so much for coming, for sharing, for the likes, for the gifts, the subscriptions, all of that. Thank you very much. The biggest gift you could give to me is if you put this work into practice, because as you become a different person through this work, other people are able to do the same. And we all know that the world could use some more peace and more good stuff.